It's not just the great times that got us here. It was the ugly, the sad, the boring, the times we don't give credit to. We never like to show love to the real MVP. The person who was dealing with affliction. The one who got hurt and didn't know how to handle it. That young person who didn't know how to defend himself. Brought into this world not knowing what to do, not knowing how to act. Treated in ways he didn't understand. We don't give credit to that person who was going to give up. But he just decided, you know what? I'm going to continue. We only love to talk about the times when we accomplished major things or when we did something great. We never want to give credit to that person who had that argument that needed to be had with someone they loved, who had to take words of criticism that might have been offensive, that brought you down, that tore you down, that humbled you. Those moments of shame, of guilt, of realizing you're not all that, that also made you who you are today. We forget about the whole package. All those days of wasting time doing nothing. You were growing those times too. That's also part of your package. We don't like to acknowledge what made us. We didn't just get here on our own. My dad clowns me all the time. Like, I used to not acknowledge that I had a dad. Because me having a dad made me a target. Like, that was a part of the ideal life that people thought that I had. So it used to be resentful of him for no reason. And then one time at school, this kid was talking about his dynamic, his family dynamic, and I was like, oh, that's kind of similar to mine, you know? And I was like, yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I don't really see him often, you know? As we're walking outside. And it's after school, we're walking to the kiss and ride, and my dad pulls up. And the kid's like right in front of my dad. I thought you just told me you didn't have one. My dad will never let that down. It's like in grade what, like 3, 4? I don't even know. But it's just acceptance all around of who you are, like what you've been through. Like, until you accept the past, there's no future for you. Like, until you really understand, like, that you know more than other people might know, that you've been given knowledge and understanding through the grace of God that you know. And if you continue to move like you don't, he's going to take it away at some point. Like, accept it. Everything you've been through, at the end of the day, you're closer to him than ever because you had to go through all those things. You had to, like, all that's left is you just accepting who you are inside and understanding that everything you went through wasn't a coincidence. It was all steps towards a greater purpose. when I started my journey to bettering my life for real, actually consciously trying to make a difference, I had a dream. I never used to have dreams like this before, or maybe I never paid attention. But I had a dream, and it was like a separate dimension, a separate reality. I don't even know what I'm saying, but it was like a separate world, and it was like really dark, and it would like light up out of nowhere. Like it was really dark, and it would light up, and like the light up was like fire wherever it was coming from, like exploding somewhere, and it lit up the area. But every time it would light up, you could see that I was in a lineup, a long lineup with shackles. We all had shackles on us. Like it was me and a whole bunch of people lined up so far ahead you can't see, and so far behind you can't see where the line started or where it's going to end. But we're in this lineup, and we all have shackles on us. We all have chains. And we're walking towards something. But the fire, like the light up, you realize it's coming from like the front, wherever the front is. And you start to understand that it's a pit of fire. And all these people in the lineup, we're all going towards this pit of fire, and we're all chained to each other. But there's no fire right now. Like it's calm right now. We're just walking in an orderly fashion to this pit at the end, but we're still walking towards it. Then you start to hear screams. Then you kind of start to realize that the other people in the lineup notice the fire too, but they're not really concerned about it. It's not a concerning thing. I don't know. It's not really putting them on edge or anything. It's putting me on edge though. Then you look closer and you start to realize that you know people in this line. You can recognize faces that are in this line. Then you start to look at other paths. And I seen there was another path. One that once you begin to walk, you're already walking in fire. It may not be as big as that fire at the end though, but there's another path that you could walk. But the fire begins as soon as you start. But if you watch the few people who go through that path, who they are at the beginning and that person at the end, it's someone you want to be. It's someone I wanted to be. Looking at them, like when they came out, I'd be like, yo, like, that's who I'm trying to be. Then I woke up. But the point is, that's not a coincidence. And a couple of my pods have been centered around dreams that I've had. So I know I'm not crazy, but it's just, you never fully acknowledge it, because in order to acknowledge that that dream means something, in order to acknowledge the wisdom that people give you, that even though you might not respect them, the godly wisdom that they could give you, but you can't fully take it in because you don't accept that person. Like you have to accept everything in order for everything to make sense. But what I'm trying to say is I was in shackles. Generational shackles. And the only way, like the key to getting out the bondage is acceptance. You gotta choose a struggle. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it is what it is. No matter what you do, it's a struggle, but you gotta choose which one's best for you and which one will lead you to a better life. If you're trying hard to hold on to something, it's already gone. If you have to try so hard to hold on to something from the past, it's already gone. The only reason why you think it's still here is because you're holding on to it. I like to think just about just a lot of past problems, issues that happened. And the way people made you feel because of who you were at the time. And you like to think back to that person. It's almost like an excuse. You know what I'm saying? Like, those days are long gone. You're not that person anymore. And you thinking you're that person, you're trying to get out of fulfilling your destiny because, oh, I'm not that guy. Well, you are. Like, you can't keep hiding that. Like, you are. Like, you have to step in the right direction. You can't keep lying to yourself. You're the only person that's holding on to that. It's gone. It's done. It's done. Whatever enemy you're afraid of, if that enemy were to show up again, you have the opportunity, the blessing to protect yourself, to defend against that enemy, to stand up. Quit assuming the enemy's gonna win. And the enemy's not flesh and blood, so don't look at anyone either. Because nobody on this earth is your problem. We're not cursed to be servants of servants. We're not supposed to let women and children rule our mind. Like, it's time for you to own up to who you are. I like to think of a time where my cousins had me dead to right. Like, when I was a little stubborn, little ignorant little kid. And I was causing trouble, and certain individuals, they like tried to scare me and get me into a corner. But to relate it to this message I'm trying to say right now, it's like, let's say, well, the reason why I'm saying this is because someone told me their story, because we were trading stories about like a traumatic experience we had as kids, me and this person. My story had to do with me being chased by a few family members and being held back. And then they were plotting something, but then it was interrupted. But it did get scary. But then this other, my friend, this girl, she was like, my trauma was like these family members were chasing me. And then like, I ran into the closet and they locked me in there. And I couldn't get out. And it was just dark. And I'm thinking to myself, bro, like, you've been telling me so much different stories. A lot worse than that one, in my opinion. But then, like, it's just interesting to me how that one stuck with her, like being locked in that closet. And it made me think, what if that closet just represents all our past trauma, all our insecurities? That darkness is just that place that we used to be in. And through whatever we went through as kids or when we were younger. And we were chased into the closet, and now we're in there. And they say, don't come out. And we stay in there. We stay in there. We stay in there. We stay in there. Until one day you decide, you know what? Like, do I have to stay in here? Like, is this door really still locked? And you open the closet and you're a grown-up. Like, you're 40. You know what I'm saying? Like, you were there as a little kid, but then when you decided to leave the closet, you're a grown man or you're a grown woman. You could have left at any time. Like, we're choosing to stay in those dark places. We're choosing to like relive our insecurities. We're choosing to live not up to our potential as because of an excuse like, oh, I'm not that person because I'm this. That person's long gone. You're the only person that thinks that. It's nobody's job to tell you that you've grown up. It's nobody's job to tell you who you are, what you know, because you know what you know. You know who you are. That's nobody's job. We're stuck in there thinking what? Reminds me of like like those videos you see of like when someone's given a challenge, like close their eyes and like do a certain dance or something, and like and they have to like count or whatever, and then when they open their eyes, the person's gone. Like, what are you doing? It's not. It's not that certain things are gone, but it's changed. Like, that child parent relationship's gone. You're not a child no more. You've built a new relationship, but it's not the same thing like you were a kid. Your relationship with God's changed. You've acknowledged that God is in your life. You've acknowledged that people are hurt and they project that hurt onto you, but it's not really them. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're being possessed by that hurt. Other people turn that pain into a fuel source to go to higher heights and maybe pull other people out. Other people kind of give into that pain and use that pain as an excuse to inflict pain on others, but it's not them that's inflicting the pain. They're not really in charge at that point. There's only two sides you can be on. There's only two people who can really control those actions. It's up to you to accept that it's nobody's fault. Of what's happened to you in the past, of who you are now, and where you're gonna be. Like, I'm like this because of so and so. That's a lie. I'm only here because of so and so. That's also a lie. The truth is, you're more than a conqueror. The truth is, you have a design, and there is more to life. There is more to you. Can't keep staying in this closet saying, oh, like, what are you going to tell him when you see him? Like, what's the excuse? Like, what is it? When do we finally accept who we are now and the decisions we have to make now? A lot of or all of Shakespeare's plays are tragedies. Life is not easy. A lot of tough choices, a lot of sacrifices, a lot of decisions you're ready to make, but maybe you just don't want to accept that you have to make them because nobody told you that. I'm still confused on who we're waiting for. I'll be honest, me myself, I'll just be standing around, sitting around, like waiting for someone, for something to, I don't know. Who am I waiting for? Waiting on myself. It's like a council inside of you, and nine of them is ready to go. Nine of them is ready to make a move, but this one person wants to just, no, 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 we're not going anywhere. Because my parents said this, or my coach said this, or my friend said this, or my cousin said this, or these people I want to be like said this. It's like one person's hijacked. The nine's waiting on the one. The nine's waiting on you. Like, whoever that idol was, that leader was, that person in charge, quote unquote, of your life was, is gone. You're looking around like who's supposed to take the reins. But you're looking around, you're not seeing anybody, it's you. Like, it's okay, like, to pat ourselves on the back sometimes. You've made it this far. Why give up now? Why think twice now? It is what it is. You've accomplished greatness through the pain. You've overcame fears through the pain. You've witnessed lives changed through the pain. You've experienced God's love through the pain. Why would you give in now? Accept that you have power. Power to change, power to grow, power to let go. Because it's done, it's gone. All that power that any individual might have had on your life is in your hands now. But you're willingly giving others power over you. And that's what's restricting your movement. Whoever that person may be. It could be strangers. It could be the fear of what someone you don't know might think about you. It could be. Or it could be people you know. It doesn't really matter. The point is, you have the power. It's yours first. And you give it away. You know what I'm saying? Like, Adam had the power. So like God said, I'm looking at you. You know what I'm saying? Oh God, my fault. Like, like I went through this and I did this, or like I couldn't do that because of so and so. It's like, I'm looking at you. I'm not looking at them. I'm looking at you. What are you doing? I gave you the power, not them. I gave you the power. Accept responsibility. Like, I didn't give you this power for no reason. You live in a cursed world. When you step with truth, when you step with my power, resistance will come against you. But that's why I gave you power. What, are you weak? You don't know how to retaliate? because I've seen you do it. So don't act like you got it. You don't got it inside of you. Don't act like that. Accept who you are and stand on it. I got people waiting on you. You got kings waiting. They don't know they're kings, but you know that they're kings. I need you to go tell them. Some people think they can't beat those enemies. Some people think that these shackles are jewelry, or like they're part of themselves. Like they don't know that they have a separate identity from the shackles. But you do. You know that. I need you to go tell them. Like, what are you doing? What are you here for? It's more than this. Yes, there's an enemy who goes about like a lion. And yes, he's scary. He's really scary. So you're not going to fulfill my purpose because you're scared? Is that what you're telling me? Does that make any sense? I gave you all this power. I had so much faith in you that I kept you alive this far. Instilled all this knowledge in you. Put you through all that you went through to become the man you are today just for you to be scared. It's time to accept who you are. You weren't given all this vision just so you can close your eyes.